In 2025, President Trump signed something that gun owners have been waiting over 4 years for. And what happened next? Changed the rules for every single law-abiding gun owner in America. If you own a gun, carry a gun, or even just want to buy one, you need to know what is in this executive order right now. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed to this channel? Because I am about to break down 6 major wins for gun owners that happened in 2025 alone, and what is coming in 2026 could be even bigger. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss an update like this. Seriously, take 2 seconds and do it. Okay, let us get into it. So, let us start from the beginning. On February 7th, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14206. The official name is Protecting Second Amendment Rights. Now, that sounds like a lot of political talk, right? But this one was different. This was not just a speech. This was a direct order to the entire federal government to stop targeting law-abiding gun owners. Let me explain exactly what it said and why it matters so much to you. The order told Attorney General Pam Bondi to do one very specific thing. She had 30 days to go through every single gun rule, regulation, and policy that the Biden administration put in place between January 2021 and January 2025. Every single one. And she had to figure out which ones were hurting your Second Amendment rights. Then she had to come back with a plan to fix them. Think about that for a second. 4 years of Biden-era gun rules, all of them being put under a microscope. That is a massive deal. And here is the part nobody was talking about on the day it was signed. The order did not just target 1 or 2 rules. It covered everything. Gun classifications, ammunition rules, how the ATF was treating gun dealers, international agreements affecting firearms exports, court cases where the government was arguing against your rights. All of it was on the table. Now, you might be thinking, okay, a lot of presidents sign orders and nothing happens. Fair point. So, let me tell you exactly what actually changed after this executive order, because the results are real and they are affecting your life right now. The first big win came for gun dealers. During the Biden years, the ATF had something called the Zero Tolerance Policy, also known as the Enhanced Regulatory Enforcement Policy. Here is what that meant in plain English. If a gun store made even a small paperwork mistake during an ATF inspection, they could lose their federal firearms license. We are talking about honest mistakes. Maybe a form had the wrong date. Maybe a box was left unchecked. Under Biden, those small errors could shut down a gun store permanently. Thousands of gun dealers were targeted. Some lost their licenses. Some just gave up and surrendered their licenses because they were scared. That policy is gone now. In April 2025, the DOJ officially ended the zero tolerance policy. And they said something very important when they did it. They said, and I am quoting directly here, the prior administration's zero tolerance policy unfairly targeted law-abiding gun owners and created an undue burden on Americans seeking to exercise their constitutional right to bear arms. That is the federal government admitting they were wrong. That almost never happens. But it gets better. In May 2025, the ATF announced that gun dealers who lost their licenses under that policy can actually reapply. If your local gun shop was forced to close because of Biden's zero-tolerance rules, they now have a chance to come back. That is a direct win for your community and for your access to firearms. Here's what most people completely missed, though. The executive order also started a process to help people who lost their gun rights restore them. If you have a prior conviction that took away your Second Amendment rights, there is now a real pathway to petition the government to get those rights back. The Trump administration moved this program into the Department of Justice Office of the Pardon Attorney. And as of 2025, they are actually processing those requests again. That program had been basically frozen for years. If you're finding this helpful so far, I want you to imagine what you will learn in my next video. I'm covering exactly what to say and what not to say when law enforcement asks if you are carrying. That video could keep you out of serious legal trouble. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it when it drops. Okay, now let us talk about the pistol brace issue because this one is huge. Under Biden, the ATF released a rule that basically said if you put a stabilizing brace on your pistol, the gun might be classified as a short-barreled rifle. That means it would fall under the National Firearms Act, which requires a special registration, a background check, and a $200 tax stamp. Millions of gun owners were suddenly looking at potential federal charges for guns they already legally owned. Well, that rule is dead. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck it down. And here's the key part. The Trump DOJ said they would not appeal that ruling. They let it die on purpose. That means the brace rule has no legal force anymore. If you own a pistol with a stabilizing brace, that situation just got a whole lot less stressful. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let us talk about money. Real money out of your pocket. On July 4th, 2025, President Trump signed what he called the One Big Beautiful Bill. That is actually the name of the legislation. And buried inside that bill was something that gun owners have wanted for decades. The $200 NFA tax on suppressors and short-barreled rifles and shotguns was zeroed out, gone. That tax had been sitting there since 1934. The federal government put it in place specifically to make suppressors and short-barreled firearms too expensive for most people. It was designed to be a punishment, and now it is gone. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Imagine you wanted to buy a suppressor for your rifle before July 2025. You had to pay for the suppressor itself, let us say $800. Then you had to pay an extra $200 tax to the federal government. You had to submit a ton of paperwork. You had to wait months for approval, sometimes over a year, and you were put into a federal registry. All of that just to legally own a suppressor that simply reduces the sound your gun makes. Now the $200 tax is zero. That is real savings in your pocket. And one less government hurdle between you and your legal property. But wait, there's something even more important about this tax cut. Because the NFA registration system was technically created to administer the tax, lawyers and gun rights organizations are now arguing that without the tax, there's no legal basis for the registration requirement either. The NRA has already joined a coalition lawsuit in federal court to challenge the entire NFA registration system for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. If that lawsuit succeeds, the red tape around these items could be eliminated entirely. Now, quick legal note here, because I want to be straight with you. Everything I am sharing in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Gun laws can be complex, and they vary by state. If you have a specific legal question about your own situation, always talk to a licensed attorney in your state. What applies federally may be different in your state. Hey, 73% of people watching right now are not subscribed to this channel. That means most of you are going to leave today and never hear about the next major update when it hits. Join the growing community of gun owners who get these updates first. Hit that subscribe button right now. You will not regret it. Now let us talk about the Supreme Court and why 2026 is going to be a critical year for gun owners. In June 2025, the Supreme Court issued a unanimous decision in the case called Smith & Wesson Brands versus Estados Unidos, Mexico. That is the case where Mexico sued American gun manufacturers, trying to hold them responsible for cartel violence. Think about that. A foreign government was trying to use American courts to bankrupt American gun companies. The Supreme Court threw out that case completely. All 9 justices agreed. That is as strong a statement as the court can make. And there is more coming from the court. In October 2025, the Supreme Court agreed to hear a case called Wilfer versus Lopez. This one involves Hawaii's concealed carry law. After the landmark Bruin decision in 2022, which said that Americans have a constitutional right to carry firearms outside the home, several states tried to get around that ruling by creating huge lists of places where you cannot carry anywhere open to the public. Restaurants, parking lots, you name it. Hawaii's law requires the property owner's express permission before you can legally carry there. That is almost impossible to comply with in the real world. The Wolford versus Lopez case is going to the Supreme Court, and a ruling is expected in 2026. If the court sides with gun owners, it could strike down similar laws in New York, New Jersey, California, and other states that have been using the same strategy to make lawful carry basically impossible. This one decision could be one of the biggest Second Amendment wins in years. And you're going to want to know exactly what it means the day it comes down. This information does not stay the same forever. The Wolford decision is expected in 2026. And when it drops, I will be breaking it down immediately. Subscribe right now because that video is going to be one you absolutely cannot afford to miss. The implications could affect your carry rights in dozens of states overnight. So, let us bring this all together. What actually happened here? In about 1 year, the Trump administration ended zero-tolerance targeting of gun dealers, brought back the Rights Restoration Program, killed the pistol brace ban, eliminated the $200 NFA tax on suppressors and short-barreled firearms, won a unanimous Supreme Court decision protecting the gun industry, and set up what could be a landmark Supreme Court case in 2026 on your right to carry. That is not politics. Those are real, tangible legal changes that affect what you can own, where you can carry, and how much money stays in your pocket. The Second Amendment is being treated, maybe for the first time in decades, as a real right instead of a political problem to be managed. But here is the honest truth. None of this is permanent unless gun owners stay informed and stay engaged. The 2026 midterm elections matter. The courts still have battles ahead. States like California and Illinois are still fighting hard against your rights. And the bureaucracy does not change overnight just because a president signs an order. That is exactly why you need to stay connected to channels like this one. I do the research. I read the court decisions. I go through the legal documents so you do not have to. All you need to do is hit subscribe and make sure you never miss a critical update. So here's your takeaway from today. Trump's Second Amendment executive order from February 2025 was not just a symbolic gesture. It triggered real documented changes in federal gun policy. From the death of zero tolerance to the elimination of the NFA tax to a Supreme Court case that could reshape carry rights across the entire country, 2025 was a historic year for gun owners. And 2026 could be even bigger. If you got value from this video, please share it with a fellow gun owner who needs to know this stuff. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these changes matters most to you. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This community is here to keep you informed, keep you legal, and keep you protected. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. One final note, this video is for educational and formational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Laws vary by state and change frequently. Always consult a licensed attorney for guidance on your specific situation.